This is the part that we don't get, is that toxic individuals use confusion on purpose, and the confusion confuses us to where we don't even know where the confusion's coming from. Yes, narcissistic and psychopathic people want us to be blind to the fact that they are the ones creating the confusion, and they will do whatever they have to in order to keep you around, because the goal for them is to use you as long as they can. Most of you, by the time you've met me, tell me you already have a PhD in narcissism because you've read the books, you've watched the videos, you've studied love bombing, you understand gaslighting, you know what Darvo means. You can identify all of this in 3 seconds flat, and yet you still may be stuck in a toxic relationship. Or maybe you just left one after feeling like you took way too much time, or maybe you're afraid you're about to meet another one. There's a gap between what you know and what you're still living, and that's what today's episode is going to be about. Because this is not about the fact that you're uninformed. In fact, some of the most insightful people that I've ever encountered are still stuck in a toxic relationship. So either insight's a lie, or insight is not doing the whole job that it needs to get out of a toxic relationship. A recent viewer wrote in, kind of providing almost a ledger of all her relationships. She talked about being in a marriage, how she had a family member who had this issue. Maybe there was a long partnership, and then even someone from her past resurfaced. And she ended up the comment by doing all the math and wondering, law of averages can't explain this, can it? And she's not wrong. She has the data and she understands the fact that there is this history of meeting toxic people. So it's really an evidence of her intellect trying to solve, why does this keep happening to her? We wonder, is there that many narcissists? Or what's happening with me that I'm attracting that type of a person? And yes, recognition is one of the steps, but we need to also interrupt the pattern for it to be more effective. There's another individual who left a recent comment who said, good relationships don't leave us in confusion. The confusion itself is a signal. And she's right. That is a rule we need to be paying attention. But unfortunately, it doesn't automatically help us to leave when we're feeling confused. Take myself when I've been in relationships. After surviving that first toxic relationship and realizing confusion is a signal, I have been in subsequent toxic relationships and felt confused, and yet I was confused over the confusion. I still wondered, was the confusion being driven from within me, or was the confusion evidence of something was going wrong in the relationship? This is the part that we don't get, is that toxic individuals use confusion on purpose, and the confusion confuses us to where we don't even know where the confusion's coming from. And we question ourselves first, because most of us are the type of people who ask ourselves first, what is it that I'm doing wrong, before we start to then look around us and say, what is going wrong around me? You can't just leave because you feel confused. The confusion starts a process of interpreting it so that you then can figure out the source. So unfortunately, yes, confusion is the pattern we should be watching for, but in itself, it's not enough. Another viewer wrote in and said, you know what? Whenever the heart's not involved, then we get to see deception really clearly. But the moment the heart's involved, everything looks different. And I want to reframe that. It isn't actually the heart, it's the nervous system. Yes, we love people and we hate to leave people that we love, but really it's our nervous system's inability to code what's dangerous. It misreads familiar as safe because a lot of us have grown up or experienced chaos and drama. So we don't recognize that that is the danger, not more dangerous behavior. We somehow think dangerous behavior should look spooky and scary, monstrous, and often it doesn't. And so we end up getting confused about the confusion, and we don't see that, and then we end up missing that the familiarity of chaos and drama is the evidence that the confusion is being manufactured. Another viewer wrote in and said she left after decades, well into her life, and that it was probably the best decision she's ever made, but it wasn't the easiest. I want you to hear this. Late insight is not failed insight. We often feel shame for how long it takes us to work through this process. But even that becomes a sticking point. It's become something that traps a lot of us because we feel so much shame and we feel like we've had so much spent currency on this individual or on this relationship that we wonder if maybe we should just finish it out because we've been in it for so long. I don't want you to see that as a pattern that you should keep, that as part of what keeps you stuck in these relationships. So I hope you take away a few things from this discussion. First, stop asking why you met them. Yes, there are a lot of toxic people in the world, way more than we're comfortable with. But instead, start asking about what is the confusion that you're experiencing, what is driving it, how is shame causing you to stick around and stay? because I want you to know that insight alone, expertise alone is not going to save you. And you can be the most insightful person who has studied narcissism your whole life, but it doesn't mean you're not going to still get trapped by a sophisticated enough predator. We need to tease apart what's happening and look at it in an unflinching, honest way in order for us to really break free of these relationships. We need to know that it isn't just even recognize that there's a pattern. We need to be able to dissect what our part is from the part that's happening to us, to be able to see that we are being confused on purpose, that this is actually the tactic. Yes, narcissistic and psychopathic people want us to be blind to the fact that they are the ones creating the confusion, and they will do whatever they have to in order to keep you around, because the goal for them is to use you as long as they can. So it isn't about your failures. It isn't about your weaknesses. It isn't about you not understanding enough. It's about that this is a tactic designed to keep you in relationships and to keep you confused about the confusion. So next time someone tries to harm you by saying this was your fault, that you didn't set enough boundaries, that maybe you just don't know enough about narcissism, I want you to recall this episode and the things that we talked about today and really reflect on the fact that this is a sophisticated form of manipulation, and one that actually has very little to do about you, but yet you recognizing it and taking the time to get yourself out of it is how you break free. Thank you so much for your comments on videos, for writing in. And if you have a question you'd like me to answer on air, please send it to clients, clients, at kerrymcavoyphd.com. It's 2 a.m. again, and you're replaying that whole conversation over, and you're wondering to yourself, was it really that bad, or maybe I'm just being dramatic? So you start to draft that I'm sorry text again, because the guilt that you're feeling or the confusion you're experiencing is just unbearable. And you know this loop because you've been there before, but I want you to know that you're not alone. I'm Dr. Kerry McAvoy. I'm a retired psychologist, and for 25 years, I've been helping people untangle exactly what toxic relationships do to your mind, how they create the confusion, the self-doubt, and that trauma bond that keeps pulling you back in. Here's the truth. Recovery isn't about getting more information. It's about having the right support in the exact moment you need it. That's why I've created Reclaim You. It's a private, always available coaching app built from my work and my content, organized into an extensive library that you can actually use when you're triggered. Inside it, you'll get 5-minute lessons when your brain can't handle a deep dive, check-ins that meet you exactly where you are, whether you're feeling strong, shattered, or numb. Boundary scripts that help you say no without over-explaining. Grounding tools that work fast when you're activated, and progress tracking so you can see proof you're healing even on days when it feels like you're not. There's no appointments, no waiting, no judgment, just practical support right when you need it. Reclaim You, real help in real time, right in your pocket. And it's a coaching support, not therapy or emergency care. Learn more at studio.com/Dr. Kerry. So start your healing today and reclaim you.